The first time Madeline Cross called me the parking lot dad, my son was standing beside the security booth with his science project under one arm. It happened outside Crosswell Aerospace at 7:12 in the morning, when the executives were arriving for the investor demonstration. I was wearing a faded orange safety vest, work boots, and a jacket with reflective tape on the sleeves. My job that morning was simple. Keep traffic moving. Stop delivery trucks from blocking the east gate. Make sure visitors found the correct entrance. My 11-year-old son, Caleb, had missed the school bus because our neighbor's car would not start. So he was with me for 20 minutes until my sister could pick him up. He stood by the booth, holding a cardboard model of a small rescue drone. He had built it from cereal boxes, plastic bottle caps, and one broken fan motor from my garage. He was proud of it. Then Madeline Cross stepped out of a black SUV in a gray suit that looked more expensive than my truck. She was CEO of Crosswell Aerospace, daughter of the founder, and the woman trying to sell the company's emergency drone division to a defense contractor named Ardent Vector for $600 million. She looked at me, then at Caleb, then at the cardboard drone. "Why is the parking lot dad bringing trash to my investor demo?" she said. The man behind her smiled. "Not fully. Just enough." Caleb lowered the drone against his leg. That was the part I remembered. Not her words. Not the heat that went through my chest. Not the way her chief operating officer, Bryce Voss, smirked like he had just watched something useful happen. I remembered my son trying to hide the thing he had stayed up 3 nights to build. I stepped forward. "It is a school project." Madeline glanced at her watch. "Then keep it away from the press entrance." Bryce leaned toward her. "We are already tight on optics." Optics. That was the word. Not people. Not children. Not workers. Optics? Caleb whispered. "It's okay, Dad." It was not okay. But I had learned that some moments punish you twice if you answer too soon. So I said nothing. I moved the barricade. Madeline walked past us toward the glass entrance. Caleb watched her go, then looked down at his cardboard drone. "Is it trash?" he asked. I crouched beside him. "No," I said. "It is a beginning." He looked at me. "A beginning of what?" I looked at the Crosswell logo above the front doors. "A reminder. My name is Eli Warren. I am 42 years old. I am a single father. I work security and facilities support at Crosswell Aerospace in Huntsville, Alabama. At least, that is what my badge says. Most people see the vest and stop there. They do not know that 15 years ago, I was the lead field systems engineer on Crosswell's first emergency drone platform. They do not know that my wife, Rachel, wrote the original rescue guidance code. They do not know that after she died, I stepped away from engineering because every test flight sounded like the hospital monitor I could not stop hearing in my sleep. Rachel died 6 years ago. A blood clot after surgery. No warning. No long goodbye. Just a doctor with tired eyes, a hallway that smelled too clean, and a little boy asking why Mommy's hands were cold. After that, Caleb stopped sleeping through the night. So did I. I left engineering and asked for any job that would keep me close to home and off the flight floor. The old founder, Harold Cross, understood. He told me, "Stay near the work until you can touch it again." Then Harold died. Madeline came back from the West Coast to run the company. Bryce Voss took control of operations. And the rescue drone division slowly changed from a mission into a product line. The old emergency platform was called Sparrow One. It was designed to carry medicine, radios, thermal blankets, and location beacons into flooded towns, wildfire zones, and mountain rescues when roads were gone. Rachel believed small machines could reach people before big systems arrived. She used to say, "The first hour belongs to whoever can get there." Now Ardent Vector wanted the platform. They wanted the patents. They wanted the field data. And, according to a folder slipped under my locker 2 nights earlier, they wanted to remove the civilian emergency safeguards and reclassify the guidance corps for tactical deployment. The folder had come from June Keller, Crosswell's oldest compliance analyst. Inside were emails, design schedules, and one sentence circled in red. Warren legacy approval unlikely to be triggered if code attribution remains inactive until after closing. Warren legacy approval. Rachel's approval clause. I had forgotten about it because I wanted to forget everything connected to that part of our life. Harold Cross had written it into the original code agreement after Rachel refused to sign away emergency use protections. If Sparrow One or its core guidance software was ever sold outside civilian rescue use, the Warren Family Technical Trust had veto rights. I held that proxy until Caleb turned 25. Bryce knew. Madeline did not. That morning, when she called my son's project trash, the investor demo was scheduled for 10. The sale vote was scheduled for noon. I had less than 5 hours. At 8:05, I took Caleb to the break room. My sister was on her way, but he had gone quiet. Too quiet. He placed the cardboard drone on the table. "Dad?" "Yeah." "Did Mom build real drones?" I looked at him. For years, I had given him pieces. Your mom was smart. Your mom helped people. Your mom worked here. But I had never given him the shape of it. "Yes," I said. "Like mine?" I touched the cardboard wing. "Yours looks more like hers than anything in that lobby." His eyes lifted. "Then why don't they know?" "Because I let silence become easier than grief. Because grown men can hide from their own history and call it protecting their children. Because every time I thought about opening Rachel's old files, I saw Caleb at 5 years old holding her scarf. I said, "They are going to know today." At 9:15, I walked into June Keller's office with Rachel's old drive in my hand. June looked at it, then at me. "You opened it?" "Not yet." She nodded to the secure laptop. "Then open it here." The drive loaded slowly. For a moment, I saw Rachel's folders exactly as she left them. Sparrow guidance. Civilian lockouts. Flood response tests. Caleb's baby pictures. That last folder nearly ended me. June put one hand on the desk. "Not on me." Just near enough to say I was not alone. Inside the guidance folder was the original source attribution. Rachel Warren, primary architect. Eli Warren, field systems lead. And the emergency use restriction signed by Harold Cross. Then we found Bryce's email to Ardent Vector. "Remove Warren approval trail from investor deck. Classify as historical contributor language." June whispered, "That is fraud!" "No," I said. "That is Bryce." At 9:52, we entered the demonstration hall. Madeline was on stage. Behind her, a polished white drone hung under lights. The investors watched from 3 rows of leather chairs. Bryce stood near the control station, smiling. On the giant screen were the words, Sparrow. 1. The future of rapid response. Madeline spoke smoothly. She talked about innovation, legacy, safety, responsibility. Then she said, "This platform has always belonged to Crosswell." I walked down the center aisle in my orange vest. Security moved toward me. Madeline stopped speaking. Her face tightened. "Mr. Warren, this is not the time." I looked at the drone. "No, this is exactly the time." Bryce stepped forward. "Escort him out." June raised her voice from behind me. "If you remove him, I will inform every investor in this room that Crosswell is presenting restricted code without disclosing a veto clause." That stopped everyone. Madeline looked from June to me. "What veto clause?" Bryce said, "It is not relevant." I placed the printed agreement on the front table. "It is relevant if you are selling my wife's code." The hall went silent. Madeline stared at the page. "Your wife?" "Rachel Warren." For the first time that morning, her face changed. Not enough, but enough. "My father mentioned her." "He should have mentioned more." June connected the drive to the screen. Rachel's name appeared at the top of the original Sparrow guidance file. Then the emergency use clause. Then Bryce's email. "Remove Warren approval trail." Madeline turned slowly toward him. "Bryce." He laughed once. A small, sharp sound. "Madeline, every acquisition has cleanup language. This is old sentimental paperwork." I looked at him. "My wife wrote safeguards to keep these drones in rescue work. You hid them so a defense buyer could remove them." Bryce's face went flat. "Your wife is dead." That sentence emptied the room. Even Madeline flinched. Before I could speak, a small voice came from the back. "She still built it." Caleb stood in the doorway, holding his cardboard drone. My sister had arrived, but he had slipped away from her. He walked forward slowly. Every adult watched him. He stopped beside me and lifted the model. "My mom made the real one help people. Mine helps people too." He pointed to the paper capsule taped under the wing. "For medicine?" Madeline looked at the cardboard drone, then at the white machine behind her, and I saw the moment she understood what Bryce had tried to sell. Not just technology, a purpose. Her voice dropped. "Pause the demonstration." Bryce snapped. "You cannot do that." Madeline looked at him. "I just did." At noon, the board meeting moved from the executive floor to the demonstration hall because Madeline wanted the drone left in sight. She placed 3 things on the table. Rachel's original attribution file, the emergency use veto clause, Bryce's email to Ardent Vector. Then June added the 4th. An Ardent Vector memo outlining post-sale removal of civilian restrictions within 90 days. The room changed. One board member asked Bryce if he had known. He said the clause was inactive. June corrected him. "It activates on sale outside civilian emergency use." Madeline looked at me. "Does the Warren Trust consent to this sale?" I looked at Caleb. He was sitting beside June, holding his cardboard drone with both hands. "No," I said. "It does not." Bryce leaned across the table. "You are a parking lot guard." I nodded. "Yes." Then I pointed to Rachel's name on the screen. "And I am the man she trusted to protect what she built." No one spoke after that. The vote failed. Ardent Vector withdrew by 4. Bryce was suspended before sunset. By the next week, outside counsel had opened an investigation into disclosure fraud. Madeline called me into her office 3 days later. I almost did not go. But Caleb said, if she says sorry, you have to hear it. So I went. Madeline stood when I entered. No executives? No assistant. No Bryce. Only the cardboard drone on her desk. Caleb's drone. She had asked permission to keep it until he came back. I owe you an apology, she said. Yes. And your son? Yes. Her eyes lowered. I called his work trash because I did not know how to recognize the thing my own company had forgotten. I said nothing. She opened a folder. Inside was a revised Sparrow One history. Rachel Warren listed as primary architect of the Guidance Corps. Civilian emergency use protections restored. A new fellowship in her name for young engineers working on rescue technology. And one more document. A part-time consulting offer. Field safety oversight. No meetings after 3. No travel without notice. School pickup protected in writing. I looked at the last clause. Madeline said, June told me that mattered. It does. I also want Caleb at the relaunch. I almost refused. Then I thought of him hiding his drone behind his leg. He will decide. 2 months later, Crosswell relaunched Sparrow One at a county emergency training field. No leather chairs. No polished investor speeches. Firefighters stood beside paramedics. Search and rescue teams lined the fence. Caleb stood next to me wearing safety glasses too big for his face. Madeline walked up with a small case. Inside was a new nameplate for the drone. Sparrow One Guidance Corps by Rachel Warren. Built for rescue first. She handed Caleb the screws. Would you like to help attach it? He looked at me. I nodded. His hands shook, but he did it. When the drone lifted into the air, the sound was different from what I remembered. For 6 years, that sound had been grief. That day, it sounded like Rachel reaching forward instead of leaving. The drone flew across the field, dropped a small medical pack beside a rescue marker, and returned clean. The crowd applauded. Caleb did not. He just watched the sky. Then he said, Mom would like that mine had a capsule, too. I put my hand on his shoulder. She would love that. Madeline stood a few feet away. Quiet. Not managing the moment. Not owning it. Just listening. After the crowd moved away, she came to me. Mr. Warren, Eli. She nodded. Eli, your son asked if he could bring his cardboard drone to the display case. And? I told him it belongs there. For the first time in years, I laughed without feeling guilty. That evening, Caleb and I drove home in my old truck. His cardboard drone sat between us like a passenger. After a long while, he said, Dad? Yeah. Do you think Mom knew we would have to protect it? I kept my eyes on the road. I think she knew helping people is something that always needs protecting. He nodded. Then he leaned his head against the window and fell asleep before we reached the county line. So, if you ever see a man in a parking lot vest holding a clipboard, do not assume that is the whole story. He may know more about the machine inside than the people selling it. He may be carrying a promise made to a woman whose name was almost erased. He may be raising a child who built a cardboard version of the truth before anyone else was brave enough to say it. And when someone calls you small, when they mistake your quiet for weakness, remember this. You do not have to prove yourself to every person who looks down on you. Sometimes all you have to do is wait for the right door to open. Walk in with the evidence. Say the name they buried. And let the room learn who really built the future.